Couldn't it be true that you could just be free? I want for you what a dove gets. I want the moon to sit on to find you. If only I could see past the rough into the diamond of your heart. Couldn't it be true that you could just be free?
Hello, hope you guys are doing good today. So, I first wanted to start off reading this article that I found because it was posted June 17th, provided by the TBI, posted June 17th of 2021. Amber Alert, Summer Wells. And I've never read it before, so I figured I would read it because it fits in well with what we're talking about. Hawkins County. The TBI continues to work alongside the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office, the FBI, the Tennessee Highway Patrol, and numerous other local and state agencies to locate 5-year-old Summer Moon Utah Wells, who became the subject of a statewide Amber Alert on Wednesday, June 16th. She was reported missing to the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office at approximately 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, June 15th. Hawkins County investigators immediately began working the case. Shortly after that, an endangered child alert was issued. New information and a growing concern about the well-being of Summer prompted the TBI to issue a statewide Amber Alert less than 12 hours later. Summer has blonde hair, blue eyes, stands 3 feet tall, and weighs approximately 40 pounds. She was reportedly last seen wearing gray pants and a pink shirt and was possibly barefoot. At this time, the circumstances of Summer's disappearance remain unclear. Should we develop information that she was abducted and have suspect and vehicle specifics to provide, we will share it with the public immediately. We are asking residents who live in the area of Ben Hill Road to please check any trail cameras or surveillance cameras they may have had for video or photos of Summer. We also encourage residents in the area to check out buildings, sheds, and any other possible space where she could have sought shelter. Please only share information from credible sources. Sharing speculation or rumors only makes the process more difficult for law enforcement by increasing the number of non-credible tips. Anyone with information is asked to contact the TBI at 1-800-TBI-FIND or the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office at 423-272-7121. Tips can be emailed to tipstotbi@tn.gov. So, all right. June 16th, 2021, there was a presser for Summer Wells. That was the same day the Amber Alert was issued. I had someone in my chat say the Amber Alert was canceled for Summer a year ago, and that is not true. It is still active. She is still missing. Okay. The Amber Alert will be active until she is found. I hear a lot of people say things that are obviously not facts. And I'm not talking about things that could be facts, but is someone's opinion. I'm talking about people saying things that are obviously not true, like the Amber Alert being canceled. Why would somebody think that? That's why we have to be careful on social media, because you never know what to believe unless you hear it from law enforcement. And even then, we don't know for 100% sure because they could lie to us about certain things to protect the investigation. We will know when it goes to court. Nobody knows what happened to her or where she is besides the people or persons that does know that isn't talking. If only we could figure out why that person isn't talking, and most importantly, who that person or who those people are. The TBI spokeswoman Leslie Earhart and Hawkins County Sheriff's Ronnie Lawson led a press conference on the 16th of June, 2021. This was not long after the Amber Alert was issued statewide and everyone got those alerts on their phones. This was the very beginning when all that first-hand initial information was still fresh. They just figured out whatever they did to lead them to believe Summer is in imminent danger of bodily harm or death. This is the first presser that there was for Summer. Leslie Earhart kicks it off by saying, "Today we issued a statewide Amber Alert. She was last seen outside of her home in the 100 block of Ben Hill Road." So Leslie is saying Summer was said to have been last seen outside her home, right? Because if they saw her on a trail cam or video footage, wouldn't they share that with us? So that must mean Summer's family reported that she was last seen outside her home. That's a different story than they have told us all along. Why would Don and Candace lie about the last time they saw their daughter to the public? Either that or they lied to the police or forgot what they said or something. Either that or they lied to the police or forgot what they said or something, because they told us a different story. Don and Candace tell us, the public, who want to help find their daughter, that Summer was last seen going into the basement by the boys. Candace says she watched Summer walk into the house, yet they tell the police that Summer was last seen walking away from her home. Or did someone else tell them that? But if someone else told them that, then what did the parents say? The same thing they told us? That wouldn't be the case if we are to believe Candace now when she says the only people that know the truth is law enforcement. Leslie was saying Summer was last seen in the 100 block of Ben Hill Road, which is located in the Beach Creek community of Hawkins County. A family member reported her missing to the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office at approximately 6:30 Tuesday evening. So a family member, she doesn't say her parents, she says a family member. So could that have been Dawn that she was referring to, or was it Dawn and someone else on Grandma's phone? Leslie goes on, at the time she went missing, Summer was reportedly wearing gray pants and a pink shirt. She is believed to be barefoot. She was actually believed to be barefoot, probably because Candace said she was. Leslie says, "We do want to encourage the public, especially residents living in the area of Ben Hill Road, to check any trail cams or security cams that they might have that could have captured Summer on video or in photos. We also encourage residents to check in crawl spaces, outbuildings, or sheds that would make for good hiding places." So to me, this doesn't sound like they think Summer was abducted. Leslie continues, "As we mentioned, the search is ongoing. There are a number of agencies involved. I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff Ronnie Lawson to talk more about the search and the conditions authorities are up against." "Sheriff," she says. Then Ronnie stands before the camera and speaks. "Thank you. It's been a very intense 21 hours, a lot of searching, a lot of investigation by 19 different agencies. Last night, we had approximately 60 to 80 people searching in the woods with a number of LE officers doing an investigation also. Today, we've had over 100 people in the woods searching throughout the whole region. We also have agents with the TBI and the FBI assisting my office. We're jointly investigating this whole circumstance." One second. Sorry, my husband just came home from work. Lawson says, all right, so we've had over 100 people in the woods searching throughout the whole region. We also have agents with the TBI and the FBI assisting my office. We're jointly investigating this whole circumstance. So they're really focusing on the hours leading up to Summer's disappearance. Lawson says, our main goal is to find Summer and find her safe. We have plenty of help. We don't need any assistance from the local people. We have the professional people out searching. We just appreciate everybody, their contributions. There's been a tremendous outpour from the community with the water, the food, the snacks. It's just overwhelming. It's a very intense investigation, which tells me Lawson is saying they have a lot to work with, which is bittersweet. Lawson goes on to say, I know the public needs to know things, but it's ongoing and we will release things as we can when we can. But our main goal right now is to find Summer. As a citizen of Ohio, I will say, Summer has got my heart, and I know she has got the hearts of hundreds, if not thousands, of other people, especially in her local area. And I wish we could have a real update to let us know they've got something. Lawson continues. We will take a couple of questions, but keep in mind we can't discuss specifics of the investigation. Someone asks about the area of the land. Ronnie says it's very dense. The terrain is very hard. There's virtually no cell phone service. The radio systems we use, which it's not that good. We have very little radio communication, but we do have several command posts set up. But what makes it so hard is the communication between the boots on the ground searching the woods, different agencies, and officers. It's very hard to communicate. We're not like here in these small towns or in towns where you got a lot of cell phone service, for instance. When we get texts from media, you may text and we may get it an hour later and have no way to reply to it. Same way with the officers, and 8Com Central Dispatch has done an excellent job. TBI as their command post should arrive soon. And we got to continue on till we find Summer and put this case to rest. Do you believe there was any foul play involved? Someone asked. The family are cooperating and it's still too early to tell. We're still just basically gathering information and we're in the search mode right now, says Ronnie Lawson. A reporter mentions the switch from a missing child alert to an Amber Alert, asking what caused the jump from the endangered child alert to an Amber Alert between June 15th and June 16th. Leslie comes on and says, after the initial search and as we developed more information as part of the investigation, our team made the decision to elevate the alert to an Amber. She explains that an endangered child alert is a mid-level alert where a child could potentially be in danger. An Amber Alert is issued when we issue those when we believe a child is in imminent danger of bodily harm or death, and it's the most severe alert. If it appears to be that she walked away from her home, why would there be an Amber Alert? Someone asks. Leslie says, well, the bottom line is we don't know where she is at this time. Again, there was the initial search. We acted and the sheriff's office acted on the info available at the time. And as we learned more in the first several hours into today, it led us to issue an Amber Alert. When the Amber Alert was issued, you said there was info that led you to believe Summer was in more danger. Can you expand on that a little bit? A reporter asks. Leslie says, I can't. That's part of the investigation. Someone asks, how can the community help? Lawson says, if they see something or know something, they need to tell somebody. That's the biggest thing. A lot of people don't want to get involved. They want to reply to us or respond anonymously. That's fine, as long as we find Summer. That's the main thing right now. And we're talking about the Amber Alert. They raise that up another level. That helps more people pay more attention, and you get more clues, you get more calls, and everyone can call that 1-800-TBI-FIND, and that all goes into a database. And that helps us in an area that we don't have a lot of communication anyway. So it helps the TBI, it helps us with that. Ronnie Lawson goes on to say of the FBI, we have an excellent relationship working together, and just like if this case stems out of Hawkins County, then you have the TBI to help with that. But if it expands on out past the state of Tennessee, then you got the FBI. So we're all on the same page and we just keep on going. We're just working together as a team. We all have the same goal to find Summer. And he says that a lot of times in this. Their goal is to just, right now they're in search mode. They're just trying to find Summer. Someone asked about the area of where they're searching. If people see something in a certain area, what should they report to the TBI? Ronnie Lawson says, well, the terrain and stuff is like you see here. This is what people are searching in. If they seen something yesterday evening or afternoon that we needed to know, that's when they need to make the call or come by the command post. Someone asks about landmarks and where the area of the search is. Lawson says just around the Ben Hill Road and that area because she's 5 years old and she left the house and evidently got a little further than they expected. So Lawson says that she left the house and got a little bit further than they expected. So maybe when Don first talked to him, because Don was the one on the news that just a few days after Summer disappeared, when I think it was, wasn't it, I want to say it was Brian, no, was it WJHL or Brian Enton? I think it was WJHL caught him, and he had his son with him, and they were doing that interview where the sun was shining in their face. And Don says she went out the basement door, and which was unlocked, and we haven't seen her since. So maybe when Don was talking to the police, he said she went out the basement door and got a little further than they expected. I don't know. Because Candace says that Summer wouldn't have unlocked the basement door herself and went outside herself. She would have just stayed inside, according to Candace. So I guess it depends on who you talk to. Someone asks, do you have any idea how much land your searchers are covering? Lawson says, a lot, a lot. We have so many out there that they just broaden the scope. Plus, we have been able to utilize aircraft and THP, which is the Tennessee Highway Patrol, and they have been wonderful with their helicopter and the medical helicopters with the Tennessee Highway Patrol's flare at night, and they've been flying during the day. It's just outstanding how the community has come together to help us. Plus, all the different resource agencies and the rescue squad, EMS, and all the LE, and we just hope that we have a great result and we find Summer. Someone then asks, have you gotten any leads so far? Leslie said, at this time we are following up on any and all leads. Again, thank you for being here. We encourage the public to call in any credible info to 1-800-TBI-FIND, and we continue to hold out hope for the best possible outcome. Thank you, she says. So, that was the end of that. So I think it's very interesting that Ronnie Lawson says that she walked outside and got a little bit further than they expected, because that's not exactly the same story that we heard from Don or Candace. It seems like the stories that we hear are ever changing. And even when I go back and look, it's like still to this day, I can't figure it out. And it's been almost 2 years. Can't figure out why everybody's story doesn't match up and make sense. And come to find out, it's like Candace has been telling everybody a lie the whole time, because the only person she's told the truth to was law enforcement. So I guess we don't know what to believe because of her parents. And that's sad. All right. So this is like super short, but I just wanted to refresh everybody's memory on the presser from the 16th and see what kind of comments you guys have, because you always have a lot of great comments. And whoops, let me pull this up.
good way.
So this is TBI addresses search for summer wells 1 year later. This is how little of information we have from time to time. You just have to go by their wording, how they word things. So let's listen to some of this.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Leslie Earhart, a public information officer for the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Before we get started, I want to stress that the investigation into the disappearance of Summer Wells is very much active and ongoing.
So a year in, they're saying Summer's case is still very much active and ongoing. So they're stressing that. They're letting us know, listen, we've got something going on here and we just can't tell you what it is. So let's hope they've got twice as much, if not more, at the 2-year mark. And let's hope I believe they will come out with a presser for her 2-year mark. I don't see why they wouldn't. I think we definitely deserve to know if they've got anything else or if they have found any information that has led them any closer to answers. Would be nice to know.
Please understand, in order to preserve the integrity of the investigation, we simply can't speak to specifics. We appreciate you being here today and your continuing coverage of this case. At approximately 6:30 p.m. on this day, 1 year ago, Summer Wells, who was 5 years old at the time, was reported missing from her bin in the Beech Creek community of Hawkins County. When we held the first media briefing on June 16th, honestly, we expected to have good news to report by the time the next media briefing came around. Unfortunately, instead, day after day ended in frustration and disappointment. At that time, no one expected that we would still be searching for Summer 1 year later.
And Detective Pruitt says that they believe she's close by. They believe she's close by, but they've scoured all this land close by over and over and they haven't found her. But they believe she's close by for a reason.
We've said from the beginning, this case is outside the norm. There are few clues as to what happened to Summer, despite investigators doing everything within their power to find answers. All possibilities are still being explored. Many of you have asked for details about what's been done over the last year. I can tell you agents and detectives have spent thousands of hours on this case. Numerous search.
They have spent thousands of hours on this case. And remember when Ronnie said he had people, or it wasn't Ronnie, it was, oh shoot, what's his name? The guy that leads the Churchill Rescue Squad. I'm drawing a blank right now. But he was like, people are Tim Coop. He said, people are coming to me saying that they're tired. They want to keep going and going, but they're just tired. They've done so much searching. And that just blows my mind that they searched and searched and searched and kept coming back to that area around the house where they were searching, and nothing that we know of.
Search warrants have been executed, cell phone data has been analyzed, and any other available digital evidence has been collected, searched, and documented. This includes the social media accounts of those associated with Summer. 3 large ground searches have taken place in the last year with the assistance of more than 100 local, state, and federal agencies. Those searches do not account for the numerous targeted searches done by agents and detectives as they were following up on potential leads.
And I'm sure they had to follow up on a lot of potential leads because they got so many tips. They've had thousands of tips, and they had, in the beginning, they were following up on any and all tips. So I wonder at what point they stopped following up on any and all tips, or if they still are, because if they still are, that's a lot of tips to follow up on, and that's taken up a lot of their time.
From TBI alone, more than 100 agents, intelligence analysts, and support staff from across the state have been involved in this case. TBI agents working alongside the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office and the FBI have conducted nearly 170 interviews during the investigation. That does not count the hundreds of phone calls made to follow up on tips reported to law enforcement.
170 interviews. So I wonder if that counts like, I wonder if they did like several interviews for several people, if that counts for every interview would still count, I guess, right? But I wonder how many people they actually interviewed and how many times they interviewed them all. Like, how many times did they interview Allie and Hunter and, everybody involved? How many times did they interview Jose? How many times have they even talked to Andrew? I know he's in New York and he was in New York at the time, but what if he could offer some insight? Not that he would probably say what he knew, but I'm just saying, like, or are they just strictly focused on who they consider suspects, which would be Don, Candace, and Grandma? I wonder how many times they interviewed them.
While investigators have been diligently working to find answers, they've had to deal with thousands of tips generated by false information that in some cases has been intentionally spread across social media platforms. We know that this case has attracted the attention of individuals across the country who genuinely care about Summer.
I wonder how they weeded out the people that were purposely spreading misinformation and how they connected, like, who they connected them to. Like, so who is spreading this misinformation and who are they connected to and why? You know what I'm saying? Are Tim's minions out there spreading misinformation, for example? Does Tim have minions?
And want nothing more but to help us find answers. We appreciate those people. However, we are also aware that there are some people using this case for their own personal gain by spreading false information on social media posts as facts. Some go as far as to solicit donations. This has had a major impact on the investigation and not in a good way. Moving forward, we ask the public not to submit tips as a result of a video they viewed on YouTube or a theory they've seen posted on Facebook. Please help us and only call if you have direct, specific information about the disappearance of Summer. This investigation weighs heavily on us all, and I can promise you that no one wants answers more than we do, and we are not going to stop until we find them.
I'm like dying inside to know what the tips were that led them to, because they say they would do a search if they got a tip to lead them to do a search. So if they did a targeted search or a search that was from a tip, I like really want to know what that tip was. Even though it led to nothing, I just still want to know. Which I guess we don't know if it led to nothing because, we don't know what they have. They could have a lot of stuff. They probably do. They probably just haven't connected all the dots yet. And they haven't found Summer yet.
I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff Ronnie Lawson.
Good morning. As Leslie mentioned, we didn't expect this case to be going on a year later. It's heartbreaking to me and my officers and the entire community. We've never stopped looking for Summer. We'll continue to do so. There's never been a case in the history of Hawkins County Sheriff's Office that had officers working 365 days and had so many hours spent we had in this investigation.
This has got to be like the biggest case they've ever seen. This has got to be, Hawkins County, I'm talking. This has got to be the biggest case they've seen. And I'm sure they have had a lot of crazy stuff go on in Hawkins County because I set my news break to some places around there sometimes and I get some wild news from down there.
Also, this office never utilized so many different local, state, and federal agencies from across the state. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, the Federal Bureau of Investigation assists us in every step of this investigation. As you heard Leslie say, thousands of hours have been invested in finding Summer, thousands of them, 170 interviews have been done. Many of these individuals have spoken to more than one time. While we haven't said a lot about details about
So right there, he said many of these individuals we've spoken to more than one time, like I was asking a minute ago. So they've spoken to many individuals more than once, according to Ronnie. We just don't know who. I'd like to know every little detail that I can.
the investigative actions that's taken place, please know that we've never stopped. I deeply appreciate the many rescue squads, the MAs, and the volunteer fire department for their help and support from the citizens and the communities of this county is just unbelievable and overwhelming with the encouragement we get with food during the searches we've done, and all the law enforcement officers, agencies throughout the state of Tennessee. It's just phenomenal how everybody pitched in and helped us with these searches and with this investigation. And many of
I know he's hard to understand. I have it turned up all the way. But he's just hard to understand and he's kind of hard to hear. I don't know how well you can hear him on your end, but I know he's quiet on my end. But he's just thanking everybody and showing gratitude for the community and that they've reached out to help. And that's cool.
He asked why that we didn't recruit private citizens to assist in these searches. With extreme dangerous terrain we were experiencing in searches, we were able to monitor each group and movement in their location. That way we knew that everybody came back to the command post safely. After initial searches, then we had to go back and obtain the landowner's permission to search again. We could not allow or even grant permission for private individuals on these people's property.
So he's talking about the searches, the dangerous terrain, and they knew where all their people were. One sec.
Well, I can promise you that we will continue to conduct target searches in the Beach Creek area as new information is developed. We'll also continue to follow up on any legitimate leads.
Sorry about that. So they say Lawson says he's going to continue to follow up on the tips and he's going to continue with the targeted searching as they get more leads. So that tells me they've had some leads and they've done searching because of leads that they've got. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to know what that is. Like, what was the lead that led you to search in the specific area where you searched? Which I know we can't know that, but I'm just dying to know that.
And it's been the goal of this team since day one to find Summer. We've never stopped, we never slowed down, we deal with it every day. And that's the whole purpose of this, let you all know, despite what you hear, what you see, we haven't stopped. The men and women of these agencies have worked tireless, hours and hours and hours. And I commend every one of them for the job they've done, and we're going to continue till we find Summer.
Now, as I mentioned, we can't,
any changes in that, especially as Don Wells is incarcerated here in this facility?
we're not going to characterize cooperation at this time. Honestly, doing so does nothing but create more speculation, and it doesn't benefit the investigation.
I think that's her way of saying the family wasn't really exactly cooperating, but they were, but they weren't. But she didn't want to characterize it because it was just going to cause a bunch of speculation.
Is there still a reward being offered if the information will slow us down?
Well, I can tell you that law enforcement did not coordinate that reward, so you would need to reach out to the Churchill Rescue Squad for information in that aspect.
Are the boys still in DC as we speak?
That's not something we can speak to.
Somebody asked about the boys, which we know the boys are somewhere better off now. I hope. I know not all foster care systems are the best, but I'm just hoping that they got the best because of the situation that they were most likely in. I'm hoping that they really looked out for those boys and made sure that they really went somewhere nice.
We do know that last year you guys pushed out some information about the red truck. I know that this is on here, but just so we can talk about it with you guys. Is that still something you're looking for? Do you still want people to submit tips, or is that over and you're just not looking for the red truck anymore?
I'm going to call on TBI Special Agent in charge, Garrett Newport, just to talk about that and where that stands.
I will tell you yes, just to eliminate. We still don't have a good timeline of when that was observed.
Sorry, I don't know if you guys heard, but she asked about the red truck, and I couldn't tell exactly what she said, but she said something about the red truck. Are you guys still looking for that? And he's saying, well, we still don't have a good timeline that was observed.
People in frequent areas on a regular basis get their dates and get days mixed up. We still want to figure out who, if possible, and if that's even a legitimate lead. And she said earlier, we've followed a lot of dead leads that didn't produce anything. So that obviously is still something we want to put to bed, but it's not, we still can't pinpoint a date and exact location.
So they think it could be a possible lead, this red truck, because they think the driver could have some information that could tell them something, Or are they just saying that because they think this person's actually a suspect? I've always wondered that. But yeah, last I've heard, they're still looking for that red truck, and that driver still has not came forward.
That's right.
Anybody else?
When this first came out, you guys said that someone was last seen walking away from her home. That was like one of the initial reports that night. And then things kind of changed in the following days. There's any evidence that she walked away from home or any evidence of any further abduction, or do you have any evidence of anything of that night otherwise?
We don't have anything specific. And I think what's important to note there is that the sheriff mentioned how many hours we put into this investigation and how much time has been spent exploring every possibility, walk off, abduction, other foul means. And I think that's the thing to keep in mind is it's still really wide open as to the what. We try to stay away from developing theories and just follow facts.
I think maybe they should start listening to a little bit more, theories that are developing, because they obviously haven't in their fact section gotten enough yet. So maybe if they hire another person to just sit there and go through all these theories, and somebody that's trained and professional and knows the kind of things to look for, and somebody that could, somebody smart, somebody intelligent that's going to sit there and actually cipher through things on social media and figure out what could be potential leads. And maybe they could turn over things that they think could possibly be relevant to the TBI, and the TBI could maybe start going off of some of that stuff. I think that's a good idea.
You mentioned that you're continuing to look at this case every day. Are there more searches planned as we're approaching the summer months?
No specific plan. However, if we get specific information about a specific location, building, what have you, we'll coordinate with each other to go take a look at that location. What made it hard back in the summer is obviously the foliage. That's why you saw the two searches that were when the leaves were on the ground, so that we could use air assets and that you could actually see more of what's on the ground at the time. And people say, well, leaves to cover things up. Well, move things around enough, you'll see what you're looking for.
In the past, you said that
The only thing that bothers me about that is it's such a time-sensitive situation, and it just sucks that they had to wait so long because the foliage was up so high. They had to wait so long. That was just such a disadvantage to them, so that they could search again.
if there's no evidence that there was no abduction, does that still stand?
It still stands.
Do the facts point towards one theory more than another?
No, they
Or
don't.
not?
Not this point.
They asked, so does the abduction, no evidence of an abduction still stand? And they're like, yep. And then they're like, so is there any theory that leads more toward, that you're leaning more towards than another? And they're like, nope. But I wonder if that's true. I feel like they've got to be leaning towards something because they think she's close by.
Thank you guys for being here. I just want to point out one more thing. This case is not cold. We get asked that a lot. It's not. We're talking to the sheriff constantly. We all work together as one team, and we're determined to find answers. Thank you for coming.
No, that can be found on WJHL's YouTube if you want to look it up yourself. Just go to WJHL. All right. Yeah, I totally thought I was going to have to end this before I got to finish what I was trying to do, because I wanted to go over a few of the pressers, but you know how it is when you're a mom and you don't have time to like sit here all in one setting and go over everything that you want to. But it's cool because I got more time than I thought I was going to. So that's always good. But thank you for being here with me and talking about the presser, the first June 16th, 2021 presser that they did for summer. And this was the one that we just watched, was at her 1 year mark. And then we'll go over the next one on June 15th, 2023, when they come out with their next presser, which I can't imagine they won't do one. Excuse me. They've got to do another presser, right? So, yeah, thank you for being here, and I appreciate you all a lot. I don't have time to go over another one right now, or I would. So, yeah, I was listening to Angel talks too fast, and she was asking if anybody had transcribed the presser for the I think she was asking about that very first presser, if anybody had transcribed that. And I mean, obviously I haven't transcribed it, but I just went over the whole thing because that gave me the idea, like, you know what, I should talk about that, because it's always good to go back to the very beginning. Like, every day we can go back to the very beginning and go from there throughout the rest of our day if we want to. It's always good to go back to the beginning because a lot of information came out there and that's really all we've got. So we go back to reference that. All right. Somebody told me this was a weird song. I'm not a musician, y'all. I just do this for my kids and for summer because I enjoy it. Never said I was good at it.
Vultures in the air, wolves in the streets, angels everywhere, demons on the peak. I would like to be fair, but unfortunately, the truth that they won't share keeps you incomplete. We won't let them forget you, we'll hold them to their word. Our mission to rescue, we won't let go cold.
My sideways background. This side. It's all sideways. Oops. There we go. There we go. All right. Enough messing around. All right. Thanks for being here. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for being here for summer. I hope y'all have a blessed day, and I'll talk to you later.